good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I'm hoping a lot of you just tuned in to Paranormally Blonde, where I was just on giving a live interview with Sarah and Rob about the Old Cambria County Jail in Evansburg. Tonight, we're going to be doing a response video here. It's going to be a documentary. Eric's going to be doing it again. It looks like Joan of Arc was the winner of that poll. I think he'll be working on Milton Hershey soon.
Or possibly geoglyphs. I don't know yet.
He'll, the next one he will choose out of the remainder, but he will get all of those covered.
Plus, I have others. I kind of want to get more into ancient civilizations. I want to talk about the Sumerians. I want to talk about the Phoenicians, the Minoans. I want to get into the Persians with Cyrus the Great, Xerxes, and them. But we'll be getting into all those eventually.
So tune in here. Like, let me. I'm gonna put on. There we go. Just if you have any questions or anything, if not for tonight's show, I know this was last minute, so I don't know who might be viewing, who might not. But for anybody that has any questions, please feel free to ask questions. We'll be kind of watching. And hi, Cactus.
Hi, Cactus.
We'll be putting the questions and that up on here, so just ask away. We have time. We usually try to keep these around an hour or so, but if we go over, that's fine. We will try to do the best. Eric is going to try to cover a lot of things. I'm going to come up with a couple here. I might have maybe tomorrow just come on and just have a live talking about. We just was recently at the Doss House. We had a magnificent night on Saturday over to Cambria County Jail. Like, it was through the roof phenomenal. Upcoming events, different things like that. I may cover different things. Like, of course, I'm kind of still going towards the paranormal part. Of course, stay tuned for Gabriella and I should be coming up sometime soon on Real Talk. I'm not sure what our topic. She's thinking about like doing ghost ships and stuff like that. So we're going to have Eric get started tonight. Is going to be on Joan of Arc. So again, if you see or if you have any questions, we can stop. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. So just.
And I will do my best to answer any questions to the best of my ability. I got quite a bit of research, but then again, I mean, we are talking about Middle Ages, unfortunately, much like we did with Vlad the Impaler. There is only so much information out there, but I try to sift through all the pertinent stuff in that. So
now, mind you, I know who Joan of Arc is, but I really don't know a lot about her. So I might be asking questions too, but we're going to let Eric take over.
I'm glad, Cactus. Thank you.
Eric does extensive research on any of the topics that he brings up. Same as me, like, and we just don't go in one area. It was like we said before, we do a lot of cross-referencing, so we try to get as much info as we have. For those of you that watched my documentary on Old Smitty, there was questions people asked that I couldn't answer. So I will be doing more research on some of those and trying to get an update for some of those questions. But with that being said, we're going to have Eric start on Joan of Arc.
Alrighty, so the story of Joan of Arc, her exact date of birth is unknown, and accounts of her age are relatively vague, but most scholars seem to have the consensus that she was born around 1412. And she was born during the 100 Years' War, which 100 Years' War, in case you guys do not know, that was fought between England and France between 1337 and 1453. Now, before I continue on, I do want to share a little bit of an interesting fact about the 100 Years' War, and that is, I'm sure a lot of you guys know the obscene middle finger gesture. Well, that actually originated during the 100 Years' War.
Yes, yeah, I didn't know that.
And the story behind that is that the English had their longbowmen that they employed during battles, and then the French had their axemen that were in the infantry. And what would happen during battles during the 100 Years' War, the French would capture the British longbowmen. Now, For those of you that don't know about a longbow that they used back then, the way you draw it is you use your middle finger to draw the bow. So what the French did was they got their axes and they would chop off the middle fingers of the English longbowmen. And for every subsequent battle, every time they would go to clash in an act of defiance, the British would show their middle fingers.
I think I did read about that somewhere. Matter of fact, I think I did read about that. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too. I found that out about a few years ago. But sorry, I forgot. Oh, I do that.
Yeah, what I'll do, Eric, is I'll kind of you talk, but I'll kind of pay attention to the comments. And if I say a question or something or a very cool comment, I'll put it up for you so that you don't get really interrupted a lot. Just, I'll kind of keep an eye on this part of it. So.
And before I continue, I am going to apologize ahead of time. Like, I'm doing my best to show eye contact to you guys and give you guys my information and that, but I will be looking down on my notes just I don't know, give anything misleading or if I lose track. But anyway, we know her as Joan of Arc, but it's come to find out that there's a very good chance she may have never actually seen or heard herself being referred to as Joan of Arc. The first account of her being referred to as Joan of Arc was in a letter 24 years after her death.
And how did the of Arc come about?
That was her family name. As a matter of fact, her father, Jacques d'Arc, was his name. And the Arc, of course, we anglicized that as being of Arc. And her name was actually spelled Jeanne, but it'll be pronounced like Jean.
Oh.
So we anglicized that as Joan, hence Joan of Arc. And she often referred to herself as Joan the Maiden or just simply the Maiden. She was actually one of 5 kids. She had 3 brothers and 1 sister. She would make clothing. She would help her father out in the field. She would tend to the garden. She lived a simple life. And she would actually sign her name as Jean, but she would spell it Jehanne. That was a British thing. What was a British thing? I'm confused.
The pronunciation or that of her name, Linda?
Yeah, Joan of Arc. We say Joan of Arc. That is the anglicized version of what they referred to her throughout history as Jeanne d'Arc.
I didn't know that she had siblings either. I kind of, with you, Cactus, I thought she was an only child too.
Oh, the name, yeah. Sorry about that, Linda. I kind of misunderstood, but yeah, Joan of Arc is just a British/English thing, though. Like I just said, she was referred to as Jeanne d'Arc. But she always referred to herself as either Joan the Maiden or just simply the Maiden. But she was born in Domremy, France, which I will talk about why that's significant here very soon. But just to give you an idea where that is in France, it's in the northeast part of France. During this time, during the 100 Years' War, that was controlled by the British. So, but take a look at my notes. I do apologize. I just
notes are good. People know you did your research. They actually see the proof of your notes.
So, reason why I bring up Domremy is because at age 13, she started seeing visions of several patron saints, including Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. The most prominent, scholars agree, tends to be Saint Michael.
So wait a minute, was she was some kind of a clairvoyant? Possible?
That's the big debate. See, the Catholic Church actually recognizes her visions as being legitimate, but there's scholars out there that think that there may be medical or psychological reasons.
There's always debunkers out there for everything.
Some of the things that some scholars are saying her visions could be due to epilepsy, schizophrenia, mushroom poisoning, delusional disorder, or even creative psychopathy brought upon by her upbringing, which she was brought up as a Roman Catholic, devout Roman Catholic. As a matter of fact, her mother taught her everything she knew about religion. And the reason why I said about Domremy being pertinent is because Saint Michael was actually the patron saint of Domremy and is seen as the protector of France. And she would end up having, from age 13 throughout the rest of her life, she would have these visions of Saint Michael and Saint Catherine, and this was pretty much a calling for her
Now,
to
what
get involved
kind of
with the work.
visions of them did she have? Like, did she just saw them, or?
Yeah, she just said her accounts, her testimony, because she ended up getting tried in 1431. I'll talk about that later, but she ended up getting tried, and she was talking about how she got these visions. She was gardening one day, and she just happened to see Saint Michael. And he pretty much told her that France is in trouble, it needs help.
But did her visions, they were accurate? Pretty much so?
Well, I'm not saying so much accurate as that they pretty much gave her the inspiration because she was thinking, why is he visiting me? Why isn't he visiting other people? She kind of saw herself as being chosen by Saint Michael to make a difference. And that's how the story about how she... And it's because of her visions, as a matter of fact, back in... we fast forward here to 1429. And she ended up convincing the Dauphin of France, who happened to be Charles VII. Now, there are actually two prominent people named Charles during this period of time. There's Charles of Orleans. He's involved during the siege of Orleans. He was up against the Duke of Burgundy, his name was John the Fearless. And then there's the Dauphin Charles, which is Charles the Seventh, who ended up being, he would be king of France in 1422, but he would be still referred to as Dauphin until 1429 when he was crowned in Rouen. But she ended up convincing Charles VII to lead her army, to lead the French army into battle. And that's when all these epic battles, beginning with the siege of Orleans, and she would end up lifting the siege because Orleans was actually controlled by the Burgundians. Now, during the 100 Years' War, there were the Burgundians, who were French, but they were pro-British. They were content with the British line to the throne. And then there was the Armagnacs, who was loyal to Charles of Orleans that I mentioned a couple seconds ago. And he ended up forming an alliance. Well, the Armagnacs ended up forming a party with Charles VII. And they did not see the legitimacy of the British as heirs to the French throne. And that's why the whole 100 Years thing started. Yeah, it is an unfortunate way, but she saw these visions. Like I said, she ended up seeing these visions throughout. Like I said, starting from age of 13, and she would end up throughout her time on the battlefield, and even up to her death, she would see these visions of Saint Michael and that, and she just thought like, hey, there has to be a reason why he's seeing me. He's probably calling on me to lead these people. So, but yeah, speaking of the siege of Orleans, that officially ended on May the 8th, which is funny because that's Gabriel's birthday. But that was during 1429. And then later that year, she ended up leading a campaign to clear the towns of Loire from English control as well. And a big part of the besieging of the Loire was the castle of Beaugency, which the English would end up surrendering to the English on June of 18th. Now, do you want to hear something really cool? Which 1429 was a huge year for Joan of Arc. Like I said, this is when she did most of her military campaigns. While she was doing this, Vlad the Impaler was quite possibly just an infant.
Wow.
Because whenever I did Vlad the Impaler, I said he was born anywhere between 1428 and 1431. So there's a chance he was just a baby when Joan of Arc was out there showing the English, hey, the French aren't going to put up with this anymore. So yeah, it was very strange. It was very strange, but somehow, like I said, she managed to convince Charles VII, who was the Dauphin of the.
But I noticed, so when you go way, 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 way back, there was a lot of more women in power. I mean, because you look like Madame Curie, you look at like Isis, you look at Athena, who Helen of Troy,
Cleopatra.
Yeah, Cleopatra. So when you go way, way, way back in that time period, women were of notoriety back then. So.
And whenever she was in battle too, whenever she wore full armor, she wore the chainmail. She even cut her hair short. She dressed and looked like a guy. Now, this was thought to either keep her a virgin or to keep from her being essayed. So that's why she ended up. As a matter of fact, this was brought up during her trial in Rouen, and because back then it was seen, cross-dressing was seen as a sin. And that was when she was charged. She was brought up on 5 counts.
People were actually acting like it's a sin now, like so.
Unfortunately,
yeah. I mean, it's really not changed, right? Because people are getting shunned. Like it's whatever. But
and they actually saw that, which her dressing up like a guy, which they saw that as justification for her eventual burning at the stake. But let me see here. Oh, Battle of Patay was another famous battle she led. This was about a month or so after she liberated the Loire region. This was thanks to her tactics and spiritual leadership on the battlefield, and this solidified her reputation as a military leader and contributed to the eventual French victory, which by the end of which by the way, Charles VII would end up living to see the end of the 100 Years' War, and the result of the 100 Years' War is that the British would, now mind you, the British Empire was huge during this time. It was one of the most powerful empires in the world at the time. And the result of the 100 Years' War was the French did end up winning, and the English would seize all their territory in France except for a small region named Calais. And they were able to keep that until a certain period of time. But Charles VII would end up living to see the end of the 100 Years' War. But yeah, 1429, big year for Joan of Arc. Unfortunately, 1430 was not as kind to her. As a matter of fact, in an attempt to liberate Compiègne, she would end up being captured by the Burgundians. And it's thought that while she was held captive, she tried to escape several times. She even got injured escaping at one point. And it is not believed she dressed as a guy.
I was just going to ask you that. Was she still dressing like a guy?
No, it is believed because it was thought back then that even if she would have dressed up like a guy, then that wouldn't have prevented anything bad happening to her. So,
wow. And
then the following year, 1431, she ended up being brought up on charges of heresy and witchcraft.
Was it because of her revisions?
It was partly because of revisions, but it was mostly because they saw her because of her tactical nous on the battlefield. They saw her as by they I mean the British saw her as a legitimate threat to their stranglehold on the royal throne.
Wow.
Because back then, I've been trying to think, I'm pretty sure it was Henry VI who was the king of England back during that time period, and he not only was the king of England, but he was also king of France, even though, like I said, Charles VII was the king of France, but he was not recognized as king of France by the British because the British laid claim to the throne. So as far as the British were concerned, Henry VI was king, not Charles VII. But Charles VII and his allies saw Charles VII as the king of France.
Wow.
So it's basically two kings of France that were leading, that were the two major belligerents in this war. And like I said, the whole reason behind the 100 Years' War was to fight for control, whether it was the British or the French that would end up claiming the French throne, the French monarchy.
Yeah, it was terrible back in that time. I mean, you did anything. I think just being a woman at that time, it was like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, you're a witch. Oh, no, you're not. Oh, you are. Oh, no, you're not. Oh, you are. It just.
No, don't forget during this period of time too, it was only the men that were educated. So you get any woman that read, any woman that had any kind of strong voice, that was considered taboo back then. That was considered supernatural. That was considered witchcraft.
True.
Women were not allowed. They were. I hate to say it, they were property back then. You know, they weren't really.
We're getting there again.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Handmaid's Tale, unfortunately. But
yep.
And that's how it was with Joan of Arc. It's just a sheer miracle, and I'm going to use the word miracle, that Charles VII saw this tactical military genius inside of Joan of Arc. There must have been something she said or something he felt when he spoke with her. It had been something. Because, like I said back in that day, men just did not listen to women.
Maybe he was the first one that was actually, okay, you know what? She's a woman. That doesn't mean she's stupid. You know, maybe he was the first one that brave enough to say, hey, I'm no better than she is because she happens to be a woman.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're up against the British Empire, and that was a very powerful. I mean, if I was Charles VII, I don't care who it was, I would welcome any kind.
Still pretty powerful when you think about it.
So I would like that is very true, but I'm thinking in lines of Charles VII. Like if I see somebody willingly wanting to help me in the fight to try to take back French control of the monarchy, I'm gonna get all the help I can get.
Right.
I don't care how crazy people seem or how unconventional or unorthodox it may be. Charles VII probably saw this as a way of saying, hey, you know what? I have another ally. Because he didn't have a whole lot back then, because, like I said, not only was he battling the British, but he was also fighting the French that was loyal to the British.
Right.
So, but he didn't have a whole lot of allies, and then Joan of Arc popped up, and then...
Yep, I agree.
Trying to see if there's any... Okay.
No.
But yeah, she was... Like I said, she was brought up on 5 of the articles that they're just mainly for cross-dressing alone. That's not even counting crimes against the British Empire, which were probably, I forget how many counts they said of that, but they saw her as a legitimate threat. And on May 30th, on 1431, she would end up being burned at the stake at Old Market Square in Rouen. But
did they do because they because of the witch thing? They thought she was a witch?
Yeah, they saw her. Like I said, the cross-dressing alone would have sealed her fate right there, because that alone they saw as a sin. And not to mention, because she told them everything. She told them about the visions. Of course, they knew about her military tactics. They knew about her dressing up like a guy. They knew everything. So it was just a whole... She couldn't win either way, because if she wouldn't have got burned for dressing up like a guy, she would have got burned for being a threat to the British Empire. She would have been burned at the stake for seeing visions, because that was considered blasphemous at the time. Unless you were a member of the church, you can't, especially if you're a woman, you cannot have visions. So her goose was cooked there. So that's like, she got like a triple whammy right there against her. So, but she would end up being found innocent of crimes a quarter of a century after her death. But I mean, that doesn't really do her any good.
Sounds like that guy on that show that I watched, where he kept on saying he was innocent, he was innocent, he was innocent, down from Texas. And here he is, they execute him, only to find out that he was indeed innocent.
And you know what? Linda brought up a good point. She's like, she must have arrived at the right time. I mean, you figure when Joan of Arc was alive, the 100 Years' War was already going on for 8, almost 9 decades. And the British had a pretty good stronghold. They pretty much, only thing they really were missing was the southern part of France, or else they would have completely controlled the entirety of France. And so, I mean, yeah, you get, like I said, these scholars are saying that she may have had epilepsy or schizophrenia or mushroom poisoning or anything like that. I mean, that could be a possibility, but I mean, that seems kind of like a coincidence, though. A big
but
coincidence.
they always have an excuse for anybody that's psychic or has visions or anything. They probably tell me that, like, and you know yourself, I literally saw that car accident with you and Tom in it before it happened. It just as clear as if I was in the car with you guys. So what am I, a witch?
And you know, like I said, the war's been going on for 8-9 decades, and you mean to tell me that, like, at that time, I mean, anybody before that could have claimed the same thing, but no, it was specifically that time. It was specifically this young girl with these specific visions at this specific time. She's going and she seeks the help of this particular individual.
Was there any word on what her family felt about all this going on and her visions or anything? Was there anything on that?
I really didn't see it, but they didn't say it. Only thing I was able to find that she did have 3 brothers and 1 sister. I wasn't able to find any information about them. Her dad, he pretty much was a farmer, and her mother was stay at home, and she gave Joan
Pee-wee
her religious education. P. Oh, okay. But yeah, I believe as far as her family life, I wasn't really able to find a whole because we don't even know when exactly she was born. So I tried looking up her family life and wasn't really able to find a whole lot there.
Pee-wee wanted to come up, say hi. King Pee-wee, he hasn't been here for a while.
Yeah, Britain ended up being ruled by Queen Elizabeth I after Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is weird, like a woman. Yeah. You know, I mean, like I noticed in a lot of that point. Well, it even happens now, but in that part of history, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. But that's kind of even now, you know. So the king, he wanted up here. He wanted to. Yeah. I think he wanted to say hi to you, Linda, because he knows that you've been asking about him. He could have came and said hi, but Eric put him down. So yeah. He's been teasing the dogs lately. But do you have anything else, Eric?
Yeah. So, like I said, she would end up being cleared of charges 25 years after her death. And it wasn't until 1909 that she was actually beatified by Pope Pius X. And in the 1920s, she would end up being canonized as a patron saint of France by Pope Benedict XV.
Wow.
So we're looking at nearly...
What a full circle. She was involved with the church. She was a Catholic. Went through the direction of being accused of being a witch and executed. And then full circle that the Catholic Church recognized her as a patron saint.
Honestly, Cactus, I cannot answer that because I was not able to really find much about her family. I mean, I would have loved to have known what they thought about her. I mean, I would like to think that they would have been supportive, but at the same time, though, I mean, we are talking about the end of the Dark Ages. You know, people were kind of funny about that.
And as far as you know, was there any other members of her family that was in the same path as she was?
Not that I could find, no. Because I think if there was, I think I would have been able to find something about them, yeah. But I wish I could answer that, but unfortunately I was not able to find any information about what her family was doing or how they were feeling during this time. And that, I mean, Linda did bring up a point. They probably felt safe because, like I said, this was during a time, later part of Dark Ages, especially we're talking religious visions. I was not smiled upon.
Well, and that's true too, because if they would have associated her family with her, they could have executed the entire family, thinking that they were all
co-conspirators.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's if I had to guess, that's probably what it was, because I wasn't able to find anything about her family, which for her family's sake, that is.
Do you know what her age was around this time?
probably birth figure between either. She was very young. They said that she couldn't have been any older than 20. She died a very young girl.
Wow. She's still
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. She didn't live a long life at all. She was just barely an adult.
Wow. Holy moly. Yeah. So she accomplished a lot in her short life though before she was executed.
Yeah. Like I said, 1429 was the year. That was her. It was just 1 year, but I mean, look what she was able to do. I mean, you get even Alexander the Great. Look how many years it took for him to grow his empire, but then you get Joan of Arc that almost took down England in 1 year.
Yeah, sure.
So,
wow, that's crazy. Do you have anything else?
let me see here. But yeah, needless to say, Joan of Arc is one of the most. I mean, we're still scholars are still studying her because I mean, there's so many questions we have to ask, so much we want to know about. We want to know more about her early life. We want to know even more about her military experiences besides the battles that we know for sure that she took part of. We want to know. They want to know, like, what things are like during her unfortunate times when she was held captive. There's still a lot of questions need to be asked, and she is one of the most studied people during the Middle Ages because... Oh, hey, Douglas.
Hi, Douglas.
And one of the reasons why she's one of the most studied people is because a lot of people have questions about her. I mean, not so much that... I mean, yeah, people want to know an awful lot about her, but she was seen as one of the first real bona fide feminist figure. You know how we have, even though she's not a real person, Rosie the Riveter. Well, Joan of Arc was like a real life Rosie the Riveter. Well, you figure
it's like, France. Without being redundant, it's like I said, for her being that age and to do what she was able to do in that amount of time is amazing in itself.
Yeah, she was still technically a teenager. She was only about 18 years old. I mean, kids these days just get the right to vote and have a driver's licenses. She was already on the verge of driving out the entirety of British forces from France. So
you missed some of it, Douglas. Well, probably most of it, but you can catch it on the on when it's played again. I feel bad that you did. We just kind of. I was on a live interview tonight on Paranormally Blonde about the jail, and we just decided, we had talked about it earlier in the day. We wasn't sure. We kind of planned around, yes, did we want to come on? No, wait. But Eric says, Mom, let's just do it tonight, even if nobody shows up. And
I was looking forward to this. I did not want to wait another day. I mean, we were actually planning on doing this last week, but things kept on popping up.
We just got so busy.
Like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah, well, he was ready like last week. I think we were going to do it on Wednesday, but then we got the thing over the Doss house on Wednesday. Then he was going to do it on Thursday, but me and Abby was supposed to do ours on Thursday, but I was coughing really, really bad. Abby wasn't really feeling that great, and we were so worn. And then Saturday, the weekend's always jam-packed, and we reopened the jail back up, so we were busy with that stuff. And we had that overnight promo thing that we were doing that we all went live. So tonight was the night, was last minute. So sorry about that, Douglas.
And this weekend was not particularly great for me because I don't know what's going around, but I had this real bad Friday, Saturday, and then yesterday I had a real bad stomach thing. I'm still not feeling 100%, but compared to those last 3 days, I'm feeling a heck of a lot better. So... But I don't know what that was, but I just was not, even if we would have had the opening to do this video, I don't think I would have because I just was not feeling up to snuff. YouTube is still being a pain, Kiwi.
Sometimes it'll do, like, and I'm doing everything I've done before. And I mean, I do know that when we went live over at the jail, it did go through a lot of different places, but then of course we were having internet connection and that over there because of the Wi-Fi and everything like that. But overall that went amazing. And then the interview that we just had prior to this on Paranormally Blonde, that one went real well. So I was having some mic problems to begin with, and I just disconnected the mics that I had up, and this is just straight through my computer itself. So I'm hoping, it looks like it's pretty clear compared to what it normally is, and so I'm hoping the sound is just as good. So Eric was the only healthy one there. I mean, I still, like, I can feel my glands a little bit swollen in that yet, and I'm still a little bit worn. But I have this chronic cough as it is. Anyhow, I'm not young anymore. And our weather, if it would decide to stay one way or another, like today, raining, which makes it damp, of course. And then it was like around 70 degrees, but we're supposed to drop down into like around 28 tonight. So, it's just once the weather warms up, things will start getting better.
Yeah.
But Linda, I'm her star. I'm the star. But now I was very comfortable on that interview tonight. And of course, I was talking about my passion, that gel. I mean, that gel means a lot to me. And, I have these dreams and high hopes, and it's just not all about me. It's just, I have to convince him, the owner, that, hey, you're setting a gold mine there, dude, but I only can do so much. So let's just everybody pray that it goes in the right direction. Does anybody else have any questions about Miss Joan of Arc? I didn't realize she was that young. For some reason, every time I thought Joan of Arc, I thought she was a little older than that. I didn't realize she was that young.
Yeah, she was barely adult when she was burned at the stake. Like I said, she was probably maybe 20, probably most likely 19.
Well, how old was she when she was battling?
Around 17.
Holy moly.
Around 17, 18.
That is unreal.
Yeah, she was a youngin'.
We appreciate all that you do, Diane and Eric and Gary. No, you didn't misspell anything. Everything's spot on. And we appreciate all of you guys tuning in because, as you know, we have had YouTube problems. We do a lot of last notices, and as if anybody ever disputed before, hey, they're doing it for views and for money. Well, obviously not. When we, at the spur of the moment, will come on and do a video, that should say a lot in itself. That, hey, we're not out for the views and money. Although the views would help and the people subscribing, but that's not what this is all about. This show and Real Talk is about us trying to, and it has helped, I think, with the self-esteem problems and maybe helping anybody else that might have those same type. And of course, Lurking Spirits is about our team and our paranormal. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but I hope this doesn't come out wrong. But that's actually, I'm looking at the comments, and I'm especially heard what you said, and that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to talk about Joan of Arc, is because there is this misconception that she was older than what she actually was. Because a lot of people thought that she was a full. I mean, I guess you could consider it 19, 20. I mean, nowadays that would be like a young adult, but I mean. That's not.
Well, then if you look back even.
She had a whole life ahead of her, and she never got a chance to live it.
I'm looking even back, though, now come to think of, if you look back like at the Depression era, women were very, very young, 13, 14, 15, and starting families. So they became the matron of the house. So that kind of like picked more modern up from what they were doing back then, but she just decided, hey, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to go into battle. So I guess if you have to look at it all that way.
Yeah. But I've only ever seen two. I watched the miniseries of Joan of Arc, and I watched the Joan of Arc with Mila Jovovich. And both of them had their strengths and both of them had their weaknesses. But I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think either one of them really got into the whole fruits. I don't think they really, either one of them did encompass the whole spectrum of.
I didn't watch any of them. I really, to be honest with you, I really didn't know too much about Joan of Arc. So I learned a lot tonight, which, it's funny. Eric is here with us and he does his research and that, and you would think, okay, well, Diane would know all this stuff because Eric's there. I don't want to know anything unless I've already known it prior until we come on here. So Joan of Arc, I really didn't know too much about because I didn't even watch any of those shows or any documentaries or anything. So what Eric said tonight is as fresh to me as what it is to you. So
I'm sure that Linda was asking if she had any idea about her future. I'm sure she was warned. Maybe not specifically about what was going to happen in her future, but I'm sure she was warned that, hey.
Do you think maybe some of these visions of these saints that she was seeing, they were actually coming to her as maybe a warning?
Could be.
Because that just dawned on me just now.
Because if things weren't to change, then France right now, even to this day, would most likely still be, they probably won't be speaking French, they'd probably be speaking English. So.
Cactus, I appreciate that. All of you guys, and that's including Douglas, everybody that's on here tonight, we appreciate,
yes.
We know that you like to try to come on when you can. Again, going back to if we were out for views, that would upset us. But we do this for our benefit and for your benefit, for entertainment, for informative content. So you can't make it, it's truly understandable, but knowing that you want to make it and that you really are enjoying this content, that means more to us than what subscribers we can get and what views. I am so appreciative that our viewers and my numbers are picking up, so I'm winning both ways. And please don't mind my clock again. I appreciate that that we have the passion for this and that you absolutely want to tune in and listen to us. So, and with Eric coming on now, I feel like we each have a little bit of ourselves outside of lurking spirits that we can give to you outside of the paranormal field. So you can see all around about how we are. That's the same as any time on here. If there's anything, and we've said this before.
Thank you, Linda.
We've said this before. Any questions that you want to ask us, like personally, as long as it's not too personal, that's what we're here for. Eric does do a lot of research, and he loves his research, as I do, as Gabriella does, as Abby does. That we like doing it because we want to make sure that whatever we're giving to you, you're getting the full picture of the research.
And it should go without saying that every bit of information I give on these podcasts, I've cross-referenced upon cross-reference. I did see some more stuff along my research where I was getting this podcast ready, but there were a lot of stuff that was just either unreliable sources or just stuff that wasn't being able to back up. And if that's the case, I don't say it.
Now, mind you guys, too, we do our research and we cross-reference and we get as much to try to be as accurate as we can. But there are going to be times that somebody's going to go across something that they find that is going to be different than what we say and might actually be more accurate. We will not get offended. We will not get offended by, hey, wait a minute. On my research, I found this, and according to my studies and my research, this is the accurate, what you're saying isn't. That's okay. We can understand. We're not perfect. We make errors on research just like anybody else. So if you ever find on any of ours something that you know for a fact that we've said wrong, let us know and we'll see what we can do to rectify that. And we listen. So we do listen to our audience.
I've always had an interest in history, but I really didn't start this. this is gonna sound fun. I bet you guys are probably gonna roll your eyes at me, but I really didn't start getting real big into history until I started playing Age of Empires, which is a computer game that was made back in the late '90s. I was just a preteen, just getting into my teenage years, and I would play the hell out of that game. And as I was playing the game, I mean, not mind you, because this was a video game, there was history in it, but I mean, they did take some liberties.
And it's funny that, you're talking about the love of history. I hated history in school, and I think it's because of the teacher that taught it. But at the same, and because they made you learn that. But when I love history when I can research it myself and find out what I want to learn. There's where the big difference is. And let's see what Douglas said here. I like that better than some groups that just go only with legends or just Wikipedia. There's one tour company in Salem, Massachusetts that only gets their info. Wiki is accurate to a point, but you have to watch because Eric and I, doing our research with other areas, cross-referencing, found a lot of errors, even including like Trivia Pursuit and stuff and that goes off of Wiki. That has been wrong.
Here's a big thing you have to remember about Wikipedia. If you're reading anything on there, if it's not that little annotation, the bracket with the number in it, if you don't see that at the end of either the paragraph or at the end of that particular statement,
don't go with
it. There has to be some kind. And even having said that, go to that source, read it, and then try to find another source that backs that.
Oh, right here. Did you answer that?
I wonder if she regretted not.
I think, Linda, on that one, I'm going to kind of make a response. I think she was just too young to even think about that because
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, she was executed at such a young age that I'm sure she probably thought, hey, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to have a family and everything, but she really didn't have time to even, I don't think she had time to regret it because she didn't have time to really even plan it.
Yeah, I mean, she probably thought about it. I mean, she came from a family of 5, but I mean, like you said, she had plenty in her basket, and that was probably among the last things that she worried about. So she probably didn't even have, like you said, she probably didn't have time to read because she was at this point during her later parts of her life, she was fighting for the freedom of France. That took precedence over everything. So she pretty much died for her country, which is admirable.
I don't have Discord. I'm not sure. I think Abby and Chase has Discord because I know they do. They are gamers. Eric, you don't have Discord, right?
I do not have Discord.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. I don't bother outside of. I don't even like TikTok, guys. I mean, no offense to anybody.
I don't have TikTok.
I kind of pretty much. Like I call myself tech illiterate, and that's really bashing myself because I'm not stupid. If I took time out to learn a lot of the technology, I know I could pick it up real easily. I find it easier to just go to, again, whatever's the quickest and it's going to, work out to my benefit the most. And I find this realm right here probably the easiest for me. I mean, I could go other methods, but I mean, the other kids, they all, I know, like I said, Abby, Gabriella's a gamer. I don't think Gabriella doesn't have Discord though, right?
She might.
I don't know if she does or not.
But I don't know if you see or not, but I'm wearing my Legend of Zelda shirt right now, Twilight. This is one of my favorite shirts, a Twilight Princess. So I want to get a copy of that game, but I've been playing a lot of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Those are awesome games. So
people use rotary phones.
I remember those.
We did. We used the rotary phones. Matter of fact, it's funny too because when I first got married to my first husband, the very first phone we had, and we lived in a small trailer court for maybe 3 months until we got an apartment. And our very first phone line was a party line. We didn't know we had a party line when we got our phone. And there we are talking, and other people are breaking in, and we're hearing their conversation, they're hearing ours, and they're like, oh, shit. So, yeah, that was quite interesting times.
Yeah. Do we still have that pink rotary phone that we had?
Mm-hmm. But it got broke. Yeah, you dropped it, knocked it over. But,
Of course.
yeah, I got, when I was working up at Toys R Us, it didn't work. It was just push button, but it replicated one of the old pay phones. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, but it's not working. I have it somewhere, but I don't know.
The quarter. I don't know if you remember this one, but I remember when I was little, we had that little phone that was shaped like a football.
Oh yeah, that was
awesome.
That was from Toys R Us
I like
too.
that.
Yep, that was from Toys R Us.
I remember. I don't know why, but I remember that phone.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it was shaped like a football.
I forgot about that one. Party lines are so weird. They were they were even a thing. They were very weird. Like when before that, we had the rotary phones, the actual rotary phones. When I was growing up, when we got our phones and everything, but for some odd reason, when we got our first phone when I got married, they put us on a party line, and I just like, okay, because I didn't even realize, I didn't know really too much about a party line, and they're like, what the heck is going on? And when I contacted the phone company, they said, yeah, you're on a party line. And they're like, well, I don't want to be on a party line. I don't want other people tapping in, listening to my conversation, and vice versa. So, oh, your grandmother had a party line and loved it, Linda? I didn't like the party line whatsoever. So, does anybody else have any other questions? I mean, even about anything. Boy, did we have some. Eric was with us at the Doss House. We're going to be reviewing that tape.
Yes.
Of course, for those who tuned in when we were doing live and saw my little, I think it weakened me. I think it took everything out of me when I had my incidents when I was on the under the Estes method. And then Saturday night, holy crow, we got over. We worked at 10 to 5 in the morning, Chase, myself, and Abby. And then we come home for just a couple hours, and we went back over there at 9. Well, we actually got over there about 8:30, and we were there until 5 o'clock in the morning. And boy, did we have the night of our life. We had fun. We had excitement. We had activity galore. It was just incredible. So.
Oh, Cactus, the movie I was referring. Oh, that was the. I believe it was just called Joan of Arc, and it starred Mila Jovovich.
I got hiccups.
And it's been, as a matter of fact, I've not watched that movie since it first came out. Whenever that was, I have not watched it since. So I really couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't even. I remember it not being super historically accurate, but. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. I'll have to watch it
now that you did this. I'll have to watch it.
It wasn't a bad movie, but I couldn't tell you like how historically accurate it was. And Mila Jovovich, she's a good actress. I remember her being good in that, but I really couldn't tell you like any moments in that movie. I was like, oh my gosh, they got this right, or oh my god, they got this wrong. I can't really, because at that time I was just watching it just to enjoy the movie, to be honest. So I really didn't think too much about historical accuracies, because when I watched it back then, I didn't know as much about Joan of Arc as what I do now. So it was just mainly for entertainment purposes. But
Douglas has it up there, the Mila.
Oh, yeah, the messenger of the story. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you.
And Lindy, you said, can't wait to see it again when you put it full video together. What you saw in those videos, those lives, will be different than what we videotaped. I think we only have maybe an hour, so we probably won't have to even edit anything of actual videotape off camera, because we wanted everything to be pretty much live. No, that was at the Doss House. At the jail, we got maybe I'm going to say maybe 2 hours, I think, that we got to check out for the jail. But again, that night we were pretty much, as you've seen, there was, I don't know how many lives we released that night. So, but we are asked to come back to the Doss House again, and we will be doing the jail again. So we do have some more upcoming things that we're working on. So just kind of keep on tuning in, keep your ears open, your eyes open, and you'll be seeing some good stuff, hopefully.
Linda's asking, what will the next deep dive be? Okay, so I've actually been thinking about this. So we had a poll up recently. The reason why we're doing Joan of Arc is because it ended up winning the poll. This runner-up or second place was Milton Hershey, but I kind of want to get into geoglyphs. So it's either going to be Milton Hershey or geoglyphs, and eventually I'll be doing the Final Destination one as well. But to be honest with you, to answer your question, I'm honestly leaning towards doing geoglyphs next, just because I just think they're cool.
I would like to get into the Great Pyramids, and like the Egyptians, like King Tutankhamun, and Aphrodite and stuff like that. I like to get into that too.
Because there's still a lot of things we don't know or understand about the Great Pyramids. We don't even know how exactly they were built. We're still trying to find out. Lurking spirits are active in spring.
Yes. We, Linda, we have stuff planned, and we're kind of like, we might end up making a deal out with Sarah Lee, the psychic, the one psychic that was over there with us at the Doss House and at the live on Saturday. We're working out something so that anybody books the tour over there during, like, maybe it might be from 1 to 4 or in the evening hours, that if they book a tour, they can get a free reading from her. We're trying to work out things that's going to bring a little bit of more attention and excitement to the jail, as if you can't get enough excitement being in there as it is, but to kind of help maybe bring enough attention to sway him from some of the other routes that he is so gung-ho about going. So, we have a lot of things that we're planning on working on. So, but just like I said, keep your eyes and ears open. We'll be doing a lot of things.
But yeah, I'm not familiar with that, Douglas, to be honest with you, because like I said, the only movie I watched that was Joan of Arc was The Messenger. And the only other thing I watched about Joan of Arc, it was a CBS series, and I believe that one was just called Joan of Arc, and it was during the late 90s, 2000s. That one wasn't particularly memorable.
So Ingrid Bergman, that would be an older one. Is the other one an older one too, the 2-part?
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I'm not real. Like, I knew who Ingrid Bergman is, but I didn't realize
she's an old-time actress, of course.
But I never knew that she was associated anything with.
Yeah, we'll just have to type in Joan of Arc so we come up. I'm sure on one of those channels on TV. Problem is, there's some of these older movies that's been out. You go on them, and it says you have to pay a fee to watch them, and they're like, they've been out for eons. Why in the heck am I having to pay a fee to watch them? I mean, that's craziness. Thank you, Cactus. We have a lot of things planning. Once this channel here picks up a little bit more than what it is, I'm probably I might have Paranormally Blonde on my show. I want to have Angelina on. I want to have Susan from Central Mass. I've talked about this before. I do want to have special guests on here. But this channel actually was supposed to be my solo, but the last so many that I've done, I've had guests on, but it seems like everybody's liking Eric's documentary, so I'll keep that on. I mean, I'll sneak in there and do my documentaries by myself, but I'm enjoying seeing what Eric's finding and all this extra content on here. So, And that way each member of my family too has some type of part in these shows here. Douglas, the Great Pyramids are so interesting. I find it funny when they try to say they were burial chambers, but there's almost no hieroglyphics in them like the burial. Exactly. Like, I think that's what is so interesting to me about them. I mean, and as I said just a little bit ago, I mean, they're still finding different facts about the Great Pyramids that nobody came out with before. So, I mean, it's like the gel over there. As years go by, more and more things pertaining to it's coming out. Great Pyramids, I don't know. In our lifetime, we may not still know everything about the Great Pyramids and how they become and all the mysteries about it.
Yeah, I forget exactly what the name of the pharaoh was, but they just discovered a new burial site where the pyramids are. If it wasn't, if not an actual other pyramid.
That's I was reading about that not too or not reading
less than a month ago.
Yep. Yeah, that was very recent. Yep.
And I just found out what that was built for, but even then, they still don't understand. They're just scraping the surface of it.
So Linda says, but so long as you keep Eric and Abby on top, they're great. Linda, Abby and I will be on this Thursday, and we are probably most likely going to be talking about what had happened to us over at the Doss house and what happened to us this weekend. So anybody that wants to tune in on that Thursday at 8:00, we're going to be talking about what was going on there, and definitely ask questions away because there was so much that went on, so many things that wowed as the two psychics that was there. I'm telling you what, I've never been so, I'm going to use the word almost like freaked out, yet amazed by how accurate and what things that they came out with.
Yeah.
So.
And Douglas is like, didn't they find? Yeah, I think I did read something about that, and it kind of goes along what they're saying about the actual pyramids themselves. They're trying to figure out exactly how these things were built.
Yeah.
Because the resources and stuff that they had, the manpower.
Yeah, because didn't they say when they found those pillars or support pillars or whatever that it was almost like they were almost finding like a whole other city or something right under there?
Yeah, it just doesn't really go, it doesn't mesh with the rest of what they're finding. It looks like it's a completely different thing altogether.
That's what I read too. Or I don't know why I keep on saying heard, because I think there's a documentary on or something, and there was that little, what was it, ancient something. I can't remember what the show is. It was not ancient something, ancient aliens, ancient something. I can't, maybe it was just even ancient pyramids. I don't know. But there's some kind of a documentary, and they just, how they show that little like trailer clip. I saw it on there, and I'm like, wow. And this, like he said, that was just very, very recent. So, Linda, I'm so sad I couldn't watch as much as I wanted to. Oh, Linda, you have stuff going on. You have a life. We have a life. Everybody has a life. We're not going to get upset if you're not on our show every time. You are one hell of a good moderator, but everybody, that's like Douglas. Douglas comes on when he can, and we truly, truly appreciate it, but he has a life. We just cannot thank you guys enough when you are able to tune in and we see your name on there. Like, we're like, yay, he's back, she's back, we appreciate that. So don't ever feel bad if you can't tune in when we're on. You can always catch it on the recap. That's what these videos are for. If you can't catch it live or on a pre-recording, when it's like, if it's a premiere pre-recording, watch it when you can. We're not going to hold that against you. We just appreciate that, again, that you're supporting us and you're tuning in. That's where we're all about. And like Linda's told people before, we're genuine. We care. We just are happy that you like what we do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And for me personally, I cannot thank you guys enough for being here and showing your
Absolutely.
support and being
Absolutely.
kind. And
Yep. Yep.
oh, Douglas, you're watching Twin Peaks. Oh, I remember that. See, I should watch that show because I remember watching an episode or two when I was younger, but that was back when I had like zero understanding of paranormal. Maybe if I try watching that again, maybe I'll have a better appreciation for it.
I think I tried watching an episode or something of that, but I really, I'm, I'm like you. Maybe we have to watch into.
Because we know a lot more now what we did back when Twin Peaks
Oh,
was out. So
absolutely. Yeah.
I just think it was just a bad time for me to try to watch it. But now if I probably if I went and try to give it a watch, and I'll probably like it a bit more.
We're part of your extended family. That's what we want you guys to feel. That's how we want you to feel. We consider all of our viewers our extended family, and we're glad to know that that's how you feel about us. That makes us feel like we've accomplished what we were set out.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
really, just to build a close community where we can talk about things and bounce ideas and thoughts off one another, learn from one another. That's what it's about. That's what community is.
What year did Twin Peaks come out, Douglas or Cactus or anybody?
Oh,
Do you remember what year that came out?
that had to have been what
It was in the 80s?
late 80s
That's what I'm
because
thinking,
I was a
80s?
young.
Because I think, I know I was with your dad.
Yeah, I was real young
And
when.
yeah.
Heck, that was out. That was out. Do you remember the show The Hitchhiker?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
out during like
Yeah.
that time. I remember that.
Yeah.
The intro that show scared the hell out of me. I never watched it,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah. Matter of fact, the movie The Hitcher will scare the hell out of you. 1990 original.
1990. Okay, that's what
Okay.
I thought.
Yeah, I see. I thought it was late 80s, so but it was 90s, early 90s. Okay. Okay. Like I said, I do remember. For some reason, I'm going to say I did watch a couple episodes, but to be honest with you, of course, I'm old, so I won't remember. I don't remember. We might have to take a peek at him
Yeah,
again. It's when
but
peek.
but yeah, I was like I said, I was too young, so my feelings on it were pretty much. I'm kind of ambivalent. I really didn't have any strong feelings either way. It was just something that just happened to be on TV, just because I had like zero understanding of what was
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
But I bet you any money if I watched it again, I'd probably, it would probably be something I would appreciate watching
yeah.
because I know it does
We'll check it
dive into
out.
that kind of stuff.
But here's the problem that we're having. We're hooked on Casper site. We ran into his
Oh, he's
channel,
amazing.
and the guy he's a card, but we
One of the
ran
most
into
likable dudes on YouTube.
we we binge watch him, and then we started. I was the one that introduced the family to Supernatural, the series. And since there was rumor that there could possibly be a 16th season out, which I don't think will ever happen.
They've been saying that for about at least 3-4 years now.
But when they did end the final, they did say, we'll see you in 5 years. It's been 5 years, so let's see. But regardless, we decided, you know what? It's been a while
Excuse me.
Since I was a big fan, every Christmas or birthday or whatever, I got one of the series for my birthday or hospital.
I missed
hospital
that. That was nice.
for Christmas or whatever. I don't know why I said hospital all of a sudden. I hope that doesn't mean anything. So we just started watching those series all over again. And so Casper Site, Douglas, I just got Linda introduced to Casper Site. Go on YouTube and check Casper Site now. His icon or whatever you want to call it, image is just like a cartoon drawn face of a guy with a beard. Watch his show. What he does is he does reviews like of paranormal videos that people send him, and he watches them, and he tries to see it. He was kind of like a skeptic, and he'll watch them and he'll say if he thinks that they're real, and just he does reaction videos is what he does, and he doesn't care if you've got 5 subscribers, he'll promote you. He doesn't care if you've got 2 million subscribers. If somebody sends him video clips of paranormal things that they caught on their Ring camera or they caught in their home, or if it's a professional team, he'll put it on. Like he showed several of him on with Twin Paranormal. He showed there's an English group that he likes showing on there a lot.
Ghost Theory.
Ghost Theory. He'll put them on. So I mean, and funny, I'm telling you what, his reactions, his comments, and everything on there is hilarious.
And he is the most I'll tell you what, I've never seen, which I talked to you about this before, I have never seen anybody be so happy about opening up fan mail as what he does. He truly appreciates his subscribers.
He does.
Because his eyes light up every little, even like we look at that like, oh, what's that? He's like a kid during Christmas time. He absolutely loves the love that he gets, and of course he reciprocates that.
He's just a genuinely nice guy. Doug, Supernatural had 15 seasons. They ended on their 15th season. They were going to do a 16th. I don't like the way the 15th season ended, as a lot of people did. And as we were saying, they said, we'll see you in 5 years. The talk's been going for 16th, but
Linda,
we don't know. We'll get to that. He handles all type of paranormal things, from UFO stuff. He does. He gets in. He has a lot of the videos that he'll review as UFO sightings. I think he's had cryptids. He did. He had lizard people. Yeah. That's right. He did have the South Carolina lizard people, and that one, I'm telling you what, that one video
there's some
we watched.
Truth to that.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe, and like I'm not really a lizard person, people person, but I got a chuckle out of that.
Diana's responsible for ruining my sleep patterns. You don't have to listen to me, Linda, and watch Casper's site. Like, I didn't twist your arm to go on there and watch his videos. Although he is very addictive. Yes, he is very, very, very addictive. I've been on times, Linda. I'm like you. I'm there like I told Eric. I said, I'm probably going to go to bed maybe 10 or 11 tonight. And there I'm watching and watching and watching. Next thing you know, it's midnight or later. And they're like, oh, shit, I didn't realize it was that late. So, yes, he's very addictive. I like the reactors and even debunkers. They're funny or not. That's it, Douglas. We don't have the debunkers. I'm glad you touched on that. We don't have problems with debunkers if they're respectful. But when they get to that nasty and ugliness against each other, or if they can be funny, they're enjoyable. But the hate that's going through the debunking community and how they're affecting the paranormal community overall is just disturbing. So right now, I don't even give a crap what the debunkers say at this point. I kind of threw them in the back burner. And, people that watch us know that we're genuine, that we're out there doing our best to try to find that one special moment of something incredible. And, I don't care what everybody else does on their own time. That's not affecting me, so who cares?
And thing that's driving me nuts too, which I know you'll agree with me with this, Mom, but I'm not going to name drop anybody specifically, but they know who they are. But I have been seeing several channels make reaction videos or just videos in general, claiming that people that are calling out these toxic debunkers are just as toxic as debunkers themselves. And they're just saying, oh, well, the debunkers are just constructive criticism. Well, a lot of these debunkers, they either have false claims, they're slandering.
I think I know who you're talking about, and this one in particular has
Since when is that constructive criticism?
This person hooked up and is praising a debunker, and now is coming out and like, oh, this person, I'm going to debunk this, I'm going to debunk that. And I saw one recently with Twin Paranormal, and you can literally see, and I'm not saying that they're 100%. I mean, I have not seen any evidence that they faked anything. They're just crazy. They're young kids. They're crazy. But I've seen one video where Ryan was standing totally still, and he was doing an EVP, and he had his arm out like this. He did not move. He panned the camera. The camera was there showing everybody, did not move. And when he played his EVP back, you could hear like some sound in it. And the debunker, this person in particular, said, "Oh, they were too stupid to realize that it was the clothes that they were wearing that was making that noise." Like, no. You could see that they were standing still. There was no clothing moving, being brushed against anything. Like, come on, guys. And I know this person was doing it for views. Because they know that the debunking community got a name, especially when this person tied in with another debunker. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So.
But yeah, Douglas is like, I think the debunkers are better if they don't do personal attacks. And that's the thing, and that kind of goes back to one of
yeah.
And this person, well, one specific person I watch, they're like, oh, well, the people calling them out are being toxic and that they were just being constructive. Well, calling out toxic behavior is not toxic. It's calling them out on them being toxic.
And let's get to the gist of it too. You have the debunker community getting real ugly with each other, and the one debunker is calling out the other debunker, and they're battling it.
Name calling.
But when you get downright rotten, and one is threatening, but they don't have the whole truth to the story, and the other one says, "Wait a minute, I can show you receipts," and they're defending themselves, and they're kind of getting ugly because they're defending themselves. Don't say one's right and one's wrong. They're both wrong for battling, but that one does have a right to defend himself for the ugliness and the lies that the other one's thrown at him. So if you're going to be in that ugliness, at least call a truce in there where you can be fair. And if you're going to call out one side, don't just target one side. Kind of give the other side a break if they're there. That would be like somebody's calling me out and saying, "Hey, she did this, she did that," and took something that I said and used it, but it was thrown out in something other than what I meant. And I come out and prove that, wait a minute, that's only part of what I said. You didn't read the rest of the story, but they're still targeting me and said I was nasty and ugly about it, and they're leaving the other one off the hook. That's not fair.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's not fair. But, it's each is going to do their own. I just know we made it perfectly clear that we do not want involved in any of this ugliness. I think the bottom line is I don't even know why the debunkers are out there, to be honest with you. Because if you're faking your shit and you're doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, guess what? It's going to come out and nip you in the butt in the end. Yeah. Nobody needs to expose you. You're going to expose yourself eventually. Right, yeah. So the debunkers really don't need to do that, because all it's doing is causing ugliness in the paranormal.
Well, you see that every day in life. You see people that lie all the time. They say something that's just going to out themselves. Yeah. Because you can only lie so much.
Example, that one person that we watched, matter of fact, he was on Casper's site. You know who I'm talking about. There's a person that was on Casper's site. I'm not mentioning a name.
No names.
But this person, we don't even need to be debunkers. If you watch this person enough, every time this person goes on an investigation, ironically, if he says something or pans his camera to the place, something magically happens. And it's every single investigation he does, every single place that he goes to, every single place he pans his camera to. Now, coincidence is going to happen once or twice, but every single time that you pan your camera and ironically something happens, right there, you don't need a debunker. That that guy's.
But yeah, every time. I mean, I'm sure he finds stuff during this particular person finds stuff in the investigations, but every single time, every time they have an EVP, every time they show a camera, every time they put a piece of equipment down, every single time they get something.
Now, me and Eric watch. We watch very close, and that's another thing we like about Casper's site, because when he's showing these videos of something he questions, he will put that camera and he will do frame per frame to see if there was any editing done to it, any kind of something like, that could have been thrown into the video. He checks that real closely to see. But even if he does find something that's questionable, he doesn't bash. He just says,
he's like, I don't know about that one. And that's all he says. He's like, I don't know about that one.
And he'll say, I'm not sure about that, but I'm not saying anything. I'm just not too sure about that one, guys. That one's I'm questioning, And he's very, very, very respectful. Open-ended question. Yeah. He is such a nice, sweet, respectable guy. Mm-hmm. But that's just it. You're going to get caught. I mean, it's obvious that if you're doing this. This guy that we're talking about, when Eric and I watched his videos, we watched real close. Some of them, me and Eric will look at each other and we'll go, hey, that could be something. But others, it's just too many times, every single time that he says something or he pans his camera to a certain spot, something ironically happens. It's just
imagine if he was at the Cameron County Jail.
Shit.
He'd be finding stuff we never heard of
He'd be finding stuff. Definitely. Hey, dude, Paranormal State, the first episode, they had a demon that was following them around for a long time. It was their first episode. It's just, I mean, and see, that's what I'm saying, and nobody really even needed to call it out or anything. You can watch and in your mind, okay, guys, hey, I've seen enough and this is just more than coincident. This is just too. Zach Bagans, that's how he got caught out. Like when you're getting possessed by a demon, or every single demon and spirit in the building is ironically saying, "Oh, did you hear that? It said Zach Bagans. Oh my goodness!" Everywhere he goes, his name's.
He could go to a gas stop in freaking Tuscaloosa and say it was the most evil place on the planet. So
yeah,
and how can that be?
So it's just it's just ironic that. It happens, and you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. So it doesn't serve any purpose to be an idiot and fake shit. If you want to fake shit, okay, fine and dandy. But come out and say, hey, this video is for entertainment purposes only. And that way that'll kind of give the audience like, hey, yeah, you're probably going to see some fake shit on here because we're kind of making it, we're making it in more of a thrill thing than an actual downright concrete, good old fashioned paranormal investigation. So,
and that's one of the main reasons why we like doing these, Linda, as well, because of course we're on here live right now. We're getting to interact with you guys. That's very important for us, is to actually get feedback from you guys, hear your thoughts, hear your opinions and stuff. And that's what, like I said, goes back to the whole feeling of community. We want this to be a real close community. I mean, yeah, there's going to be different opinions, different viewpoints, whatnot, but you're not going to find any toxicity. You're not going to find any vitriol, any hate. You're not going to find anything that's going to cause
Linda, that's funny that you said that. You said that's what's so great about your live videos. We actually had over there when we was filming at the jail and even at the Dawes house, people were saying live, like you guys are faking it and stuff like that, where they're like, how could we be faking it? We're doing this live. There's no way that you can fake anything when you're doing it live.
Yeah.
And plus like these, like tonight here, which you saw even on mine and Gabriella's on Real Talk, there's times that we have mishaps like crazy, and that's
when we were at the Dawes house, when we did the live at the Dawes house, that was the first time we were there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say, because we were still trying to figure out exactly. Heck, we were still in the building, believe it or not, when we were doing the live. We were like, wow, this place is nice.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can't say enough about the Dawes house. That's one of the most unbelievable locations I've ever been out at. So, I mean,
Dawes house was
and
amazing.
I can't wait for you guys to see what we found, because I just can't wait till we go back, because that place is just so amazing.
We were invited to go back, so we will be.
I love that place.
We will be going back there soon. I'd like to see, I want to see the Warrens Museum. I wouldn't mind seeing Zach's, but the problem is Zach would have to not be there because I can't handle that guy. He is so full of himself, and he actually kind of, there were stories about some of the artifacts and that, and from his museum, and kind of how he went about things the wrong way when he acquired them, which I don't want to say too much because I don't have 100% facts to back it up, so I'm not going to badmouth somebody without
it's just
that kind of evidence or anything. So, but just, that's another thing about people too. You can be the most genuine person on the face of the earth, but when you're doing your videos and that, how you carry yourself is a different thing. Zach could be outside of paranormal. He could be the nicest, most genuine person on the face of the earth, but he turns conceited and unlikable on his videos. For him, I'm glad that he got such a great fan base, but there's been a lot of drama going on with his side too recently, and for several years now. So it's just kind of, you just have to play your game right and your cards right.
And I also like what Douglas, I don't know if you saw that before about because we were talking about that one particular individual. And yeah, if you get constant activity at a place, especially if nobody else finds said activity, then that does look suspect. That really does. Because you're going to start to question not only that person, what they found, but you're going to start questioning other paranormal teams. That say, how come he was, or they were able to find this, but not
Douglas, that's fine. We understand that. We just thank you so much for showing up. And anytime
Stay safe, Douglas.
Yeah, just, you take care, and thank you for showing up here. So if you disconnect, that we understand that. That's fine. Kiwi, let's see. I watched a Russian guy who shoots mini movies. They're really creepy, but he doesn't claim it's paranormal.
Didn't Casper Site do a thing on that guy?
He might have.
If it's the same one I'm thinking of?
Is it the guy, Linda, by chance? The one that he just does outdoor videos and everything and that, and he's shown some of them because even though he doesn't do paranormal, he just by chance caught something when he was doing his outdoor stuff.
Unless I'm thinking of somebody else.
I think that might be who she's talking about. Cactus. Yes, this is why I enjoy your channel team so much. Y'all just keep it real and learn and exploring and taking us along with you. No gossip, no arrogance, no toxic. I have no time for it, Cactus. I will not tolerate it. The ugliness is just hurting everybody, and what you see on our shows is what you get. We tell it the way it is without trying to put anybody else down, and the biggest problem is people need to mind their own business. If you focus on your own shows and your own work, you don't have time to be putting up with all that crap that's going on outside.
We have our own stuff we've got to worry about too. And the last thing we're going to do is to put on a facade. Every time we go on live with you guys, every time we make a video, anytime we do anything with you guys, it's us, because
it's like,
what point does it serve to not be anything other?
It's like toxicity is just as bad as the negativity and the bad mouthing and lying. It's going to come around and it's going to nip you in the butt. So
people are going to end up finding out who the real you are anyway. So why not be the real you immediately?
Yep. We have no time for it. It's just, I think the only time we kind of got a little bit slightly, I wouldn't say ugly, but we had to defend ourselves is when there was that little incident with the paranormal there, right before we ended last year, and it was just truly misunderstanding that could have been cleared up. And then we had one or two maybe popping in on a live or some trolls and that I think they just wanted recognition on the live channel, because the more I think about it, I think that's why they do it. They wanted to
That's
see
all
their
trolls
name.
really do. Like,
Yeah, they want to see their name on somebody's live so they can think that they're important or
yeah,
something. But
they don't have
yeah,
nothing better to do.
I have no time for any of that. So it's just I have no time. He does paranormal investigation, but he always claims it's entertainment. I think it's Casper. I think we know who you're talking about.
I'm
And
pretty sure. I think I know.
yeah. And he doesn't claim it's paranormal. I think he just catches stuff, and he puts it on there. And seems like everyone. Okay, let me see what Cactus. Don't go right now because I don't want to miss any. Seems like everyone is hellbent with dramas. Yeah. It's ugly and. Linda and I've talked about this before. It's not going to get you anywhere, and all it's doing is it's hurting the paranormal community. Everybody is out there, they're saying para-unity, but they're kind of, each time you turn a different channel on, you're saying this person's bringing up a debunking thing about this, and why are these channels bringing up any of these negativity and these debunking things with other channels? Because, they're going to get extra views on it, but it doesn't make them look any better than the people that started the.
What do you think would bring in better views if they would just find like a truce or find out what kind of, if there was a misunderstanding or something, come together, be stronger? Because you're much stronger united than they could ever be divided.
I just don't
you
like
can't bring somebody down in order to build yourself up.
I don't like when I'm turning channels and catching some of the people that I don't mind watching, and here they are covering a feud that's going on between two other groups, and they're getting involved now in the ugliness. I don't have any part of that. Well, I don't want any part of that.
Well, that's why we kind of have to pat ourselves in the back, because that thing that you were talking about that happened at the end of last year, we were able to get that.
It's done
before, because it was just a misunderstanding, but we were able to tackle the problem before and then festering into something much worse. And that's what a lot of these people are not doing. They did much like who was it? Cactus. It was a Cactus that said that everybody's hell bent on drama, and that's what it, because unfortunately drama sells.
We have no time for it. It's just like, and then when you're getting involved and you're showing this feud going on your own show, then you're no better than the people that's doing the feud themselves, because you're actually showing it more. Like you're carrying it on for them.
And that does not, so like you said, it really does not make you look any better.
No.
If anything, you're exacerbating the problem.
There's a difference between clearing up a misunderstanding and clarification on something. Exactly. And it's. I just wish people, and I've said it 1,000 times, just mind your own business. Just like us, we're focused on, I got 3 different channels now. We got our Lurking Spirits, we got the Real Talk, we got this one now.
We don't have time for any of that garbage. We just literally do not have time. Even if we did have time, we wouldn't, because we're not like that. It's not worth it.
It's just continuing the ugliness. I will never, ever have somebody on one of my shows talking about, or I won't do it, to say, okay, well, do you know what's going on in these 2 shows? Well, I'll have a guest here on tonight and they'll talk about this feud that's going on. No, because if you do that, you're just continuing that feud.
We don't want to hear that garbage. That's between them.
No, that really, as you can see, I'm getting upset by it, because it bothers me when they do that. That's just continuing that feud, and it's almost glamorizing.
It's adding fuel to the fire.
And if you're doing it for views, I'm sorry, that's not good. That's not the way. That's not how I roll. I won't have nothing to do with it. I won't have anything to do with it. Cactus, you all do great navigating around the drama. I applaud you. Thank you so much, Cactus. Yeah, we don't want any part of it. I mean, we got to admit, when me and Gabriella first started Real Talk, we did start covering like the Conjuring House and that, but it wasn't so much. We weren't trying to really get in the middle of all of it, but the whole thing with Cody and Satori at that time, that was just like all over the place. And as we started watching, we were just doing our opinion, what we saw too. But as you know,
Yeah.
we only did those couple episodes, and then we said,
And
okay,
then that's
enough.
it. You know, we didn't
Enough.
drag them through
Yeah.
the mud. You know,
No,
we gave our
yeah,
2 cents.
Yeah.
That's it. Whatever happened after that, that was.
Yeah. I still don't think that they are genuine, but you know what? Again, if they are lying, it's going to come around and nip them in the back. It's going to come
That's
out.
their problem,
It's going
not
to come
ours.
out. I concentrate on what we do in our videos. I don't care what that whole thing is. Just, you know, if that.
I think that's why I like these kind of lives. Also, when you and Abby do the coffee talks, because it's kind of like a nice break.
Yeah,
it's like a nice little escape from like everything.
It is. It is.
Talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah, and as you say, we went from Joan of Arc to segue to.
We've actually talked longer about this than Joan of Arc,
and we're already at an hour and a half, and it doesn't seem like that because we're hitting on close to 11. Poor Linda, well, she's probably sleepy because she is a busy life. Cactus, you're probably yawning. But you know, we love talking about a little bit of everything, and again, guys, we're going to be as open and honest with you. We don't. It's like when Gabriella, I had to laugh if you look at her description on our Real Talk, because I said, you write the description in for me. I don't care. And if you read it, you'll laugh. It's funnier than how
I have to reread
it. It's funny. But we don't bullshit around. We just tell it the way it is. And what you see is how we genuinely are. There's no like, hey, when we're off camera, we're totally different. No, we're not. What you see is what we are.
Yeah, we're just like right now. We're not talking any different. We just happen to have a laptop.
Yeah, we have a camera in front of us. So you know what?
And I forget who made the comment. I think it was Linda that said that they're extended family. And they really are. You guys really are. So when we're talking like this, and we're talking in front of you guys, it's like we're talking to other members of the family. Yeah. So I mean, it just goes back to being genuine. I mean, might as well show you true colors now, because eventually, if you put up a facade, you're gonna get found out anyway.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons why we like these lives. That way, we get to connect, and hopefully, we would love to see the community grow. But even as of right now, we have a very close, tight-knit group including you guys. So, and we cannot thank you enough for that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll be doing a solo here soon. I'm just trying to figure if I want to do another documentary on something, or if I just want to come on a live format like this right now and just talk about, you know, things that's happening and how I feel about things, and just being genuine, you know, about a lot of things that's going on. For those of you here, Linda knows, many of you know that I was going through a lot of serious issues with my Social Security. Recently, I just did get that solved, thank God. And so that was a big bonus for me, and a big relief, and a lot of stress off of me.
Are you West Coast, Cactus? I know it said it's early for you.
Yeah, she did say one time before, but I don't remember.
Because that's a case, depending on what time zones there'd be.
Yeah, Linda is from Florida, but she was our New Zealand person. Boy, that has to be weird from you being in the United States when you were living in New Zealand, especially like now.
Nice, Cactus.
Yeah, West. In California? You in California? Or how far west? Because I have a niece that lives in California. Kiwi, in Florida, how far are you away from like Universal Studios and that? Yeah, she's in
Cali.
Yep.
Nice.
I have a niece that lives in California. Because we were down at Universal Studios 2 years ago, and now that Epic Universe is going to be opening up, we're going to be hitting there. We're hoping, we know we're not going to be able to go this year, but we're trying to shoot for next year to get back down there. Maybe we can cross paths when we go down again. We probably, I don't know if we need any more, but maybe we should make I can't remember how Gabriella showed me how to do it. Make Cactus a moderator too.
Yeah, she's gonna have to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Cactus, I'm going to get, because I don't remember how she said to do it. We're going to probably throw you on as a moderator too. It seems like our moderators are our biggest fans are on here.
Yeah. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I like
2
this.
hours drive. Yeah, that's not too bad, Kiwi.
I like our group of regulars. Because
yeah.
they're you guys are genuinely awesome people, and you guys are here practically every time we go live.
Yeah, I think even when, the funny thing about it is even when we jump on last minute like we did tonight, look who showed up, Like,
I mean, look when you went live on when you were at the jail. Look when we went live at the Doss house. Yeah. I mean, it's always you guys are awesome.
Yeah, we got the
That's
best.
dedication.
No, we got the best. So, but guys, we're at 1:40. I know, like I said, I know Linda has a lot going on, and I appreciate her always coming on. Cactus, I know you're in the West, so your time is different from us, so it's still early for you. You are awesome. I cannot thank you enough because you're faithful too, but we're going to call it a night here. Guys, go on my Other Side Facebook page or any of the pages. When I come on by myself, you can have some suggestion that what you want me to talk about, because I'll probably have it an open forum, just me. I might even do it tomorrow afternoon. I don't know, but just kind of give, don't worry what subject it is, because I can either say yay or nay. So, but
worst that can happen is you say nay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just depends on like where you want to go. So, but yeah, go ahead and make suggestions and stuff, and probably in the near future too. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but we are like I think one away from our big 500 now on Lurking Spirit. So that's a milestone for us. And we will probably be talking about some type of giveaway again. So.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Just kind of keep on tuning in and that again, as you can hear my clocks going off. So I think if there are any last comments or questions anybody has, because we're going to be logging off then and calling it a night.
And then before we wrap up too, I just want to say the next time I'm going to be on, I'm either going to be talking about either Milton Hershey or geoglyphs, but I am actually leaning towards geoglyphs. But regardless, we will have some kind of notification for you guys for when, not just me, but like on any channel, like we're going to be going live.
With the next one with Eric, we'll definitely be given more of a notice. Yes, Cactus, we will be live on Thursday. It'll be me and Abby, and we're going to be talking about everything that we experienced over the Doss house, especially my Estes method, what happened with me during that, and what we just experienced here this weekend over at the jail and things like that. Oh, Douglas, you're still there. Well, I love you too, Douglas. So we'll be talking about that on Thursday. So definitely, even if you don't get a notification, Thursday night at 8, it will definitely be me and Abby. Before Eric comes on and does his next with me, we will definitely give you some kind of a notification. So now, as far as me, I'll either go on and do something pre-recorded, or I'll go on and say, okay, guys, in an hour from now, I'm going to go. So mine could possibly be last minute. So, but you guys, once again, Eric, final thoughts, comments?
Again, I can't say this enough. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was awesome telling you guys a little bit of, I know we talked more about other things in Joan of Arc, but hopefully I was able to give you at least some pretty interesting information about it. Hopefully you guys learned something from this podcast. If not, at the very least, I'm hoping it was entertaining. But again, I can't thank you guys enough for being here, and I can't wait to see you guys again next time I'm on here.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being our fans and watching us. And Abby is feeling good. We'll be on Thursday. There'll be no ifs, ands, or buts. And thank you again, Linda. Thank you, Cactus, Douglas. Anybody else that might have been sneaking in. I know Critical Sam sometimes sneaks in the watches. So thanks to anybody. With that being said, I'm going to call it a night. And as always, we'll see you again on the other side. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. And thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.